Hi guys, how are you? If somebody don't know me, my name is Caio Santucci. I have this YouTube channel and Instagram IG about comics. And today I'm here with a great artist. I love him, but if you allow me, I have to start with some words that I read on your site because I thought it's genius. Let's go. I'm here with a super cartoonist machine from the heart of Chicago. He's all about the peace, love, and joy. He defines cartoons and comics not only as an art style, but as a way of life. I'm here with the super Art Baltazar. How are you,
Thank you.
sir?
I am good, man. Thanks for having me on your show. I'm anxious to talk. It's cool, man. I'm excited.
Thank you for coming. So, sir, I have some questions here. So let's talk about comics, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you started your career making the Cray Babies, right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Wow. Most people start with Tiny Titans, but you went deep, man. Yeah, I self-published my first book in 1992, 93.
Okay.
And that was it, the Crybaby Adventures. Yeah, man. I went to school and I graduated in 92, and that's the day I decided I'm going to be a
Nice.
professional starting this day. It was January of 1992. So I went for it. And that was it, man.
That's
Yeah.
nice. But where did this passion for comics come from? Because you decided to work with art. So did you read comics before and you wished to work with comics since
Yeah.
ever?
Since I'm a little kid, I may be 4, 5, 6 years old.
Nice.
I used to watch that Batman show with Adam West, Batman and Robin, and that was on every day. And that Spider-Man cartoon, you know what, the one with the cool song, Spider-Man,
Nice.
Spider-Man. That song, that was, I used to see that every day. And I had a cousin who was older than me. He used to come to my house after school, and I guess my mom would make him food and stuff. He would come after school. He was in high school,
Yeah.
but he would come over and he would bring comic books, and he would leave the books in my house. So I never knew, like, some of these characters, I didn't know who they were, like the X-Men, and he had the Hulk, and I remember seeing the Hulk on TV. And then I had toys and stuff that of all these superheroes, but my cousin would leave comic books and I would read them. Like, he would leave them and then he would come every week and then he would bring new ones. And I was so like these stories were so cool. And I wondered, how come Spider-Man looked different than he did on a cartoon? Or with the comic books he left me, there was a bad guy named the Jackal who was green with pointy ears, and he looked like the Green Goblin, but
Yeah.
the Green Goblin was on a cartoon and the Jackal was in a comic book. So I thought it was the same guy. So I like, why does the Green Goblin look different in the comic book, but his name
Yeah.
is the Jackal? And how come his name's not Jackal on a cartoon? So that was my first introduction. I was about 6, 7 years old,
Nice.
and I used to read all those, and my cousin would just keep dropping them off by my house, and then I would go to we would go to the deli near our house. We'd walk to the deli, and we would call the deli was a Polish deli. They sell lunch meat and everything, but we used to call the place Hollow Hollows because when we would go there, the guy, the butcher would tell my mom, "Hello, Mrs. Hollow." You know, he would say hello.
Yeah.
So that's when my mom would say, "Come on, let's go to Hollow Hollows." And when we go to the deli, they would sell comic books in a package. You would
Yeah.
get, like, for $3 or $1. I don't know what the price is, but we would get like 10 books, 10 comic
Nice.
books, but they never had covers on them. They were like return. They would return the books back to the publisher and they would get to sell them. But I read a lot of comic books that didn't have covers. And for a long time, I didn't know that comic books came with covers because they look like, to me,
Yeah.
it looked like a newspaper. So I would read those. And that's when my first experience of comics was my cousin bringing comics over to my house, and then me reading random books. Like, I would read like Richie Rich and Archie and Casper and Popeye and Tom and Jerry. All these
Yeah.
books were in these packages. So you never know what you're getting. Like, Superman might be on the cover, on the front, and on the back might be Spider-Man, but you never know what's in between.
Yeah.
So I would just read whatever I had, and that was my first introduction.
That's nice. And you worked with Archie, don't you? Because
Yeah.
I entered on your site and I saw something like this. So how were how was the experience of working with the comic that introduced you to the comics?
Mm-hmm. It's really weird, man. Like, I still don't believe it sometimes. Like, I've been making comics for about 30 years now. And I started out with indie comics, making my own comics, because 30 years ago, nobody wanted to hire me. Nobody knew who I was, and they thought my artwork was too cartoony. So
Yeah.
I just made my own comic. But then as I made my own comics, I got the attention of Disney Adventures,
Nice, nice.
and DC Comics. And eventually everyone started calling. Like, me and my partner Franco made up a guy called Patrick the Wolf Boy, which was I published after Crybabies. Me and Franco published that,
Nice.
and that's what got the attention of DC Comics. And DC Comics said, we would like for you to make comic books for us, but draw Patrick the Wolf Boy, but use our characters. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I understood that, and that just caught the attention of all the other publishers. And it's weird how things happen to me. Like, I just constantly make books. I'm making books all the time.
Yeah.
And I get emails and phone calls from different publishers asking me to work with them. And it's cool. I love it. And when I was before this DC Comics, I worked for Disney Adventures magazine. And you probably, it was out before you were even born, probably. It ended at around 2007. Were you born in 2007?
Yeah, I born
right.
in 2005.
Oh, all right. So you were a baby when it ended. It ended around then. But right before then, I was working on Gorilla for Disney, and that's what gave me the career. That's what started, and then went into DC Comics, and then Archie and Dark Horse, and it's been a cool ride, man. It's been awesome, and I'm still doing stuff for DC Comics now, and
yeah,
it's just cool.
That's nice. I would ask right this because in the 90s, Marvel and DC were very strict with the artist's trait, right? Everyone had to emulate the comics trait, which was the standard, right? But you made a lot of comics to DC. When you arrived on DC, weren't you forced to emulate a trait, or did you have complete freedom to make your cartoons?
Yeah, I have total freedom, 100% freedom, pretty much.
That's nice.
Because this is the way I draw, and I can't draw any other way besides the way I make comics. I'm real cartoony because I've been drawing cartoons since I'm a little kid. And when I was real little, when about 4 years old, I used to draw Sesame Street, Ernie and Bert and Big Bird, and the Cookie Monster. I used to draw those characters, and I used to draw with my dad during the day. And because he used to work at nighttime, so after dinner he would go to work. But then all of a sudden, he got the day shift, and now I found myself, I had to draw all these characters by myself. And because I asked my mom to draw with me, and she didn't draw as good as my dad, so I would draw my own characters. And that's where it started when I was 4 and then 5, and I went to kindergarten. I remember drawing Snoopy a lot and Charlie Brown.
Nice.
And then when I was in 5th grade is when I started making my own characters. I just started creating my own things because there was at one point when I was a kid, my dad gave me a notebook, like a little notebook that fits in your pocket. He just gave me a little notebook, and I started drawing on it. And I titled the book My Life Story. And on every page, I drew a cartoon character. So he kept giving me these books. I'd fill it up and he'd give me another book. And then I fill it up, he'd give me another one, until finally I ran out of cartoon characters. I couldn't think of any more. So that's when I started making my own. Like, I got this brand new book, but I already drew Mickey Mouse. I already drew Bugs Bunny. So I'm going to draw my own characters. And that's where it went. And I was in 5th grade. And I just been creating my own characters since then. And even now, when I make my own comic books and my own characters now, I went back and looked at my drawings from 5th grade and pulled out a few guys that I think are still good. You know?
What was the history for Crybabies?
Yeah, the Crybabies. Yeah, I was in college. I went to college in Chicago, Columbia College, and I was drawing. There's this art piece. It's like a crayon. It's called a cray pot. It's like a chalk or oil stick. where we're coloring with these giant crayons. And my friend told me, my friend next to me said, hey, if these are the cray pas, where are the cray mas? And I went, well, they must be with the cray babies. And that's, everyone in class started calling me cray baby. That was my nickname that semester,
Whoa.
like in art class. Hey, cray baby. Say, hey, what's up, man? So on our final project, I made a big 3D sculpture painting kind of thing. And I had characters on there called cray babies. And then I was thinking, man, I should just make that my comic, because I started coming up with these stories in this world of the cray babies, because all the characters in the story were made off of art supplies. Like I had gouache monsters, which is a gouache paint, like watercolor paint. So I had gouache monsters, and they rode in tanks that shot ink. And I had all of these different stories with like art supply characters. And then it just kind of spun out of control. And I ended up making 10 books of the Cray Babies. So
Nice.
I self-published them all. So it was fun, man. And that's kind of where it started. And then when I graduated and I went to my first Comic-Con and I brought my portfolio, that's where I wanted to try to get a job somewhere. And so when I interviewed and showed my portfolio, every company told me to go home and learn how to draw, and I couldn't draw, and that I was too cartoony, and so you're no good, man. And I'm like, man, so I got real upset, and I just decided, well, I'm just gonna print my own book. I'm just gonna make my own comic, and I'll get a table here next year.
Nice.
And that's the only time. That was 1992, and that's the last time I've ever showed my portfolio to anybody. I just like stopped. I didn't want to do that anymore because it hurt my feelings, broke my heart. I had to call my mom, I was crying. I said, Mom, guess what just happened? This guy yelled at me. So it was nuts, man.
How did you sold the Gray Babies? Did you bring to some comic book stores? How was
that? Man. I went to the copy place like Kinko's. I don't know if you have Kinko's out there, but it's like an all-night copy store where you make copies. So I would go there and copy my artwork and put it on paper and then fold the paper and staple it together. So I would make mini comics. And then I would try to sell them, or I would go to a comic book shop and ask them to just put them on their shelf. And, or I would just leave them with, here's some comics with the Cray Babies. But then I found out how I found a printer who could make them full size, like a real comic book.
Yeah.
They were black and white on the inside, but color covers. And at that time, I didn't know how to do computers. So all my covers were paintings. They were watercolor paintings covers.
Nice.
And yeah, it was cool, man. And then I just found out how to distribute. I started walking around the convention, the Comic-Cons, the comic shows, and just asking people, them, where'd you get your book printed? And I went to the distributor and asked them stuff.
That's
but
nice.
I found a printer there was one in Canada and one in Texas that I used. And I would just send them my money. I'd work a lot of part-time jobs. I worked at all kinds of stores. I drove trucks. I swept floors. I cleaned toilets. I did all of that. Cooked. I made pizza. I delivered stuff. I did all kinds of stuff just to pay for my printing for my comic book. And so
that's a beautiful story.
Yeah.
Now here, looking. Yeah, looking.
And I'm kind of doing the same thing now. I printed my new book. I'm still printing books and getting them delivered to my house. And I still go to conventions with my new book. And then, back then I had to figure it all out. Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah, we still order pizza. Yeah.
but talking about finding out, when you found out your style, that's perfect. I really like the style of your drawing because it's not realistic, right? It's cartoony, and I don't like things too much realistic. But of course, we can see that you understand all of the things that you're doing, and so that's beautiful. I love the anatomy of characters, and you play with it. I really like
cool.
your drawing style. It's very stylized. It's very cartoony. Yeah.
Do you know the Flintstones?
Yeah.
That's what I watched a lot of Flintstones and Tom and Jerry. and Bugs Bunny. And that's the stuff that really influenced me. That's what really, I really watched all of that, all the like Quick Draw McGraw and Magilla Gorilla and Adam Ant, the Banana Splits. I watched all of those shows when I was a kid. And that's all I wanted to do. I said, man, I want to draw like that. And that's just how I didn't choose to do it. I just started drawing like that.
Yeah.
And I've always been a cartoonist. And like, I really believe that cartoonists are just, it's in you. You're born that way. Like, it's just, it's like, you're born that way, but it's just like, you become a cartoonist because you know that's how you do it. It's in your blood. And to be an artist, every artist, there's a lot of artists, but cartoonists, I think, are real particular. Like comic book artists who draw superheroes is different than a cartoonist, even though they're still called cartoonists.
Yeah.
But it's real different. And when you draw a cartoon, you can't get it wrong because there's so many ways to draw a cartoon. You could draw a stick figure and it could still look good. And if it could be funny. And like, if you look at the cartoons on TV, you have like Dragon Ball Z is a cartoon, but then you have The Simpsons. They're both on TV. They're both for kids, but they look, or maybe not Simpsons, but you know, they look really different.
Yeah.
And like SpongeBob and Dora the Explorer and all of these things look so different. And I just knew that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to draw those cartoons.
I'm happy I'm happy that you said Bugs Bunny. I love Bugs Bunny. I love
Bugs Bunny.
Yeah, because I love since ever when I was a child. I watched very much Bugs Bunny, and that's an important question that I have to ask now. What's your favorite Looney Tune? It's Bugs Bunny.
Oh, the characters that I love, Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck. Yeah, Porky Pig. I like them all. I was drawing them for a little bit. I was drawing coloring books of the Looney Tunes.
Nice.
But I really like to draw Sam's. Yosemite Sam was fun. I like to draw him and Sylvester. But yeah, I like Bugs Bunny, classic Bugs. I like when Bugs is messing with Elmer Fudd. That's my favorite. He's cool.
I don't know. I think that the name in English is the same, but Taz is my favorite one.
Yeah, Taz. Yeah,
Taz, yeah,
Tasmanian Devil.
It's not talking about of animated series, but talking about about people, about artists. What were your main inspirations for your drawing happens?
Oh yeah, I really liked Hanna-Barbera, but then I started reading. I liked Steve Ditko, Spider-Man.
Nice.
And him, I like John Byrne from the X-Men. John Byrne. Yeah, I used to read anything he would make. I would read him, buy his books. I loved George Perez when he would draw the Justice League and Teen Titans.
Yeah.
Those were my comic book influences, but I just was really inspired by cartoons. And then I studied, when I was in college, I studied some of the great masters like Raphael. Rembrandt. I studied Rembrandt's sketches. I started looking at his sketches, and that's what really, I learned a lot from just watching Rembrandt's sketches, how to draw real subtle and soft and have the lines thick and thin. And I just learned how to draw from looking at his sketchbooks. But I love all that. I'm influenced all over the place. Yeah. And I really influenced by even the new Cartoon Network stuff. Well, it was new, like Powerpuff Girls and Dexter's Lab. I like all that stuff. But that was about when I started making comics. But I'm really influenced by all of that. Ren and Stimpy influenced me. But mostly it was all cartoons. I watch cartoons all the time. Super Friends. I watch the Super Friends. But anything Hanna-Barbera, Magilla Gorilla, and Quick Draw McGraw, Woody Woodpecker, I'd watch all of that. And that's what really inspired me. And the artists who were probably cartoonists inspired me the most was like George Gately. He used to, he's a creator of Heathcliff. I used to read all the Heathcliff books, and Walter Lantz, of course, Woody Woodpecker, but all of these guys, Charles Schultz especially, and the guy who made Bugs Bunny, the animator. I can't think of his name. Chuck.
I don't remember.
Chuck Jones. Yeah, Chuck Jones. Yeah, all these guys.
Nice.
Walt Disney. Jim Henson makes the Muppets.
Oh my God.
George Lucas. All of these guys inspire me to not so much their art, but their creations their
Nice.
creations inspire me to make my own, you know, build my
Yeah.
own world. It still goes now, man. I just talked to my book agent today,
Yeah.
and I have to, every time I talk to her, I create things on the spot. I mean, she's even overwhelmed, and I counted my folders on my computer today. Every time I create a new character or an idea, I make a folder and start putting sketches in it. I have 91 folders. I have 91 characters and comic book ideas that I want to work on right now. And
That's nice.
I'm getting overwhelmed, but I pick one a day to just draw a page in there. So eventually
Yeah.
I'll get through it all. But,
Yeah. And you talked about Teen Titans, that you
yeah,
read the George Perez Teen Titans.
yeah,
So it was your first contact with these characters?
yeah. With very first contact with him,
With
George.
the Titans.
Yeah, that was my very first. That was the very first thing I ever worked on for DC Comics.
Yeah.
But it was also my introduction into comic books. I would watch the Super Friends cartoon and then read the books without the covers. With I found out Green Arrow and Black Canary and Plastic Man were in there, all the characters that were not on a cartoon. But then when I started working at DC Comics about when I started working on the Tiny Titans,
yeah,
I just went back and read all the George Perez books again, and it was so cool. And then a few months later, when I went to New York City to meet DC Comics, I saw George Perez and I got introduced to him.
That's
and
nice.
That was such a thrill. I'm like, wow. And my editor, my boss said, Tiny Titan guy should meet the Teen Titan guy. And he put us together. And like, wow. And George Perez acted like he knew me forever. And it was just so cool. And when I asked him if he liked my cover for the book. Did he read Tiny Titans #1? Yeah. And he said, yes. But he said, can you make Beast Boy's outfit red and white like mine? And I'm like, sure. Because at first when I drew it, he looked like the cartoon black and purple. And he asked me to make it white and red. And I'm like, sure. So that was pretty cool. So mostly, that's why he's wearing white.
Yeah, I saw his looking, how can I say, his style on Cyborg. Mostly on Cyborg, because I think it's the most similar for me. Cyborg, your Cyborg in Tiny Titans with Paris. So I like it too much. I love George Paris, mostly his Wonder Woman. I love it. He's ingenious and
he draws her with curly hair, and that I love that.
I love
curly hair on her. Yeah,
I love it. Have a little of blue in her hair, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, she looks great. Yeah.
Talking about your back into your style.
Yeah.
Did you suffer criticism for your style of drawing, of your design? But I asked to you, did you suffer criticism from the public? You know, something like that.
Yeah, I would get a lot of people would never take it serious.
Yeah.
Or especially in comic books, there's been several people who would say, when are they going to consider you a real artist? Or when are you going to become a real comic book artist? Or I would get people ask me, but don't you want to work on the real characters? And I'm like, well, like when I would show someone, like I work on Superman and Batman, Aquaman, Flash, and all of their pets. I work on super pets. And somebody was asking me, yeah, but is that the real Superman? I'm like, yeah, it's Superman. And it said, because the script says draw Superman. And I drew Superman. And so, yes, that's the real Superman. So yes, some people are still wondering if I'm ever going to work in the mainstream. And I'm like, how much more mainstream does it get than Superman and Batman? I'm drawing them on the cover and I'm drawing them in the inside. So it's real different. And some people could see it. Most people think it's awesome, but there's still some critics who ask me, but don't you want to write the real characters? I'm like, well, this is the real character. I've heard people who say they want to break into the comic book industry, but they'll even start with the kids' books. And me, I'm like, that's where I want to be. I want to do the cartoony books. I love making the kids' books. And I make books for everyone, but kids could read my books and you could trust that there's not going to be anything weird in there for them. But this is where I'm at. I don't want to draw other things. I want to do all the cartoony stuff because that's
Yeah.
where I'm best at. I love it. I'm in that world, you know.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I think that all the kind of art are beautiful to someone,
yeah.
right? Except for Rob Liefeld, but
Uh,
but
you don't like them?
no,
Oh no. Oh,
no,
I like them.
I don't like it's a little bit sad because a lot of people like it, but I don't like Todd McFarlane too. I
You
like
don't like them either?
no, I can't. I see his Spider-Man and I
You
don't
cringe.
know. Yeah, it makes me sad, you
It
know?
makes you go, oh yeah. I
I don't
like
like
them. I like
Spawn.
it all.
I'm sorry,
You
guys.
like Spawn? You don't like Spawn?
I don't like Spawn.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
I don't know. I don't know why, but I like so much image in the
Yeah.
general, you know, The
You
Walking
like more
Dead,
classic? You like George Perez and John Byrne? You
George
like Jack
Perez, John
Kirby?
Byrne. A lot. I love Jack Kirby
Yeah.
and Steve Ditko Spider-Man,
Yeah.
as you
Mm-hmm.
said. It's beautiful. I like all the kinds of art, except for them. I don't know.
Too
Uh,
stylized. Yeah.
I like Alex Ross too, but I don't like
Yeah.
he too much. You know, for me,
Yeah.
the
Not all
people.
the books have to look like Alex Ross, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, he's good once in a
exactly,
while. Mm-hmm.
exactly.
I like traditional art too, like ink on paper and penciling. I'd rather see the drawing and the ink rather than the computer coloring. I want traditional art. I just love it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's nice. And in talking about superheroes that we were talking about,
Yeah.
you made a lot of Hellboy, Dark Horse, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't have too much affection with him because I
Mm-hmm.
never read nothing of Hellboy. You know, I'm
Mm-hmm.
guilty, but your Hellboy I love so much. I love the drawing of your Hellboy and Mike Mignola too. But I say I love yours because he's in character that's as in cartoon he works a lot. You know, his
Mm-hmm.
anatomy because he have that legs, you know, and I like too much and as cartoon it works too much and it's not conventional, you know, his
Mm-hmm.
anatomy. So I like too much. How we're working with Hellboy and with this I ask, what the most difficult part of making a comic book to kids, right? And teenage talking about
Yeah.
a devil that came to the world in a Nazi ritual. It's a little bit crazy. What was your most difficult part?
Where Hellboy seemed to come real natural. I I got an email from Mike Mignola
Oh, that's nice.
asking to make he wants something he could sell to kids at his table. And at that time, me and Franco and we had a Kickstarter going for All Yeah Comics, and he saw it and he says, "Hey, I want you guys to write it and I want you to draw it just like Tiny Titans." And so it was easy to come up with stories because we both knew the character
Yeah.
and I seen the movies and I read a bunch of comics, so I was real familiar with him, and he makes sense to me. And I was thinking about the old Harvey comics with Casper and Hot Stuff, and that's kind of what it turned into. It turned into like the old Harvey comics. But the hardest thing about Hellboy was getting the designs approved by Mike Mignola because I had to draw Hellboy about 40 times before I really settled on a look for him. I couldn't get him where he looked like a monster all the time when I was drawing him.
Yeah.
He looked like the adult Hellboy but shrunk. So I had to cuten him up a little bit. I had to give him a little chubby cheek and I had to shorten his horns. And then finally when I liked what I was doing, I sent it to Magnola and all he said was give him shorts instead of pants. I'm like,
Yeah.
cool. So I gave him
Nice.
shorts, and then when the girl Liz was the girl with the fire, and I just had to change her hair color. So he's real easy to Mike Mignola was real easy to work with, but that was the most difficult thing. Maybe just me stressing over. I hope he likes this stuff, but he's real cool, and I talk to him once in a while, and his wife is more of the one that answers the questions.
Yeah.
Like if I see him, he says, ask my wife, she'll tell you. So they work as a team. It's kind of cool. And,
Nice.
but working on Hellboy was so much fun. And we won an Eisner Award for it. And it was just so
Nice.
cool. Yeah.
I didn't
I
know.
had a lot of fun with that. We did 2 volumes, 2 books, 2 big, thick book, 2 graphic novels.
And when you received the invitation to draw him, did you imagine that the people would like it so much? Did you imagine that could
I had
win
no
an
idea.
Eisner?
Yeah, I had no idea what was going to happen, because I just said yes to it. And then I'm like, oh, okay, what do we do now? You know, so I made the book. It was so easy to write, so easy to draw. And it once we got into it, it just flowed, man. It was real easy. And I knew what Hellboy was all about. By the time we wrote the second volume, he was funnier. I thought the second volume is funnier than the first volume, but the whole thing was cool. So we went deep into the bad guys, and we turned he had like some terrorist zombie or something.
Yeah, yeah.
So we made him fun, and we got some bionic cyborg gorilla, and we brought him in there. So it was cool, man. And I love all of the characters because they're all weird. Like they're all one guy was made of mist. I forget their names now. Johan was one of the guys, and Roger was another guy. And I love that they have real names. Like, and Abe Sapien was cool. So it was just so much fun to just draw monsters. I love monsters. I love non-human characters. Nice. And that's what I really liked about all those guys. They're all just monsters and weird guys. I love making guys like that. There's someone that monsters are just fun. They could do a lot of stuff, and the stories could be real outrageous. So that was fun, man. I never knew that people were going to love it so much. And the Eisner nomination was real unexpected. And then we won, and I was crazy. Every time I won 3 Eisners, and every time it's so overwhelming, and you cry every time you get an Eisner award. I don't know what to do. I never think I'm going to win.
I once saw a drawing that you made, which was some, I don't know. I think it was Justice League. Yeah, it was the Justice League characters. And in the half of the drawing is Batman, you know?
Yeah.
From the Brave and the Bold. It was the Batman from the Brave and the Bold. And I love this animated series. It's my favorite series of Batman, you know?
Yeah, it's good.
I would ask you to, do you like it? And if you can say, which more cartoons you watch and you like, actual cartoons, I say.
Yeah. I love Batman Brave and Bold. That's probably my favorite Batman cartoon. I love the animated series too, Bruce Timm, and that one was awesome too for coming out when it did. But Brave and the Bold, I think, captures what Batman was in the 1960s and 70s, and it's just great. I love it. I love the theme song. When my kids were babies, when they were real little, that was when that show was on TV. They were little, 4 or 5 years old, and they would dance to it. They would dance to the song, and then the Teen Titans Go song. And so I love Batman Brave and the Bold, and I was able to draw him for that one. I did a cover with him on there because there was a story inside Batman Brave and the Bold, and I have all the toys. I just thought he was cool, and I was able to meet Dietrich Bader is the voice for Batman on the show.
Yeah.
So I met him, and it was cool because it felt like I was talking to Batman. And then he ended up doing the voice in our Super Pet cartoons. Like I drew Ace the Bat Hound, and when Warner Brothers asked me, we could get Dietrich Bader to be Ace, and I said, yes, I want Batman to play the voice of the Bat Hound. Yes. So it was cool. I love that. I feel a connection to it because of that. And I love that show. I love the Teen Titans. Remember the Teen Titans? It was just called Teen Titans before Teen Titans Go, when Robin was always fighting Slade, Deathstroke. I love that show. And I watch a little bit of everything right now, because now with streaming, I don't watch anything particular. I watch everything. I just watched Peacemaker. I watched Walking Dead. I'm a big fan of Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad is my favorite series.
Yeah. That's the best thing. I seen it 14 times. I saw Breaking Bad.
Oh my God, 14?
Yeah. And I met Vince Gilligan, the creator. I met him too.
That's
I get
nice.
invited to these DC Comics parties, Warner Brother parties, and he was there, and I got to talk to him for about
Oh,
20 minutes, and he was amazing. And
I'm
so,
cheering.
yeah, he was great. He had security guards around him, and I saw him,
Yeah.
and the security said, "Okay, don't get too close." And I just told him, "Mr. Gilligan, I just want to let you know your TV show's the best TV show I've ever seen." And then he told the guys, "Let him in. Let me talk to him." So I
Oh,
talked
that's
for about
nice.
20 minutes. I got pictures with him. We gave each other our business cards and websites and stuff. It was pretty cool. And but
And
I love when I find something too that I really love, I just watch it all the time. I watch it over and over. I'm a big Star Wars fan. I love watching Star Wars.
yeah, me too.
I love the Star Wars cartoons, the Clone Wars and Rebels. I love baseball. I love the Chicago White Sox is my favorite team. So I'm always there when baseball season comes around. I always have something
Nice.
to watch. So I just find what I like and I stick to it. And superheroes and Star Wars are always constant with me. I watch all the Marvel shows. I watch all the DC movies, and I watch all of these things. And I watch cartoons now and then. And I don't know, man. I'm always there. I'm always watching something.
Yeah. Talking about Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Do you watch Better Call Saul?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It starts
I
April 18th.
I started
Next
it,
month.
but I don't know. It's a little bit slow.
It is.
I have to restart because in this year we'll
Yeah.
finish, right? So
Yeah. This is the last one. The first 3 episodes of the first season are slow. Just get
yeah.
through them, man. Just stick through
Okay.
it. And season 2 is going to explode. It's going to,
Nice.
you're going to like it,
Yeah.
especially if you've seen Breaking Bad.
Yeah,
You're going to see things.
I will give a second chance. And
Yeah.
okay, last one about Breaking Bad. I
Yeah.
swear it's because my friends didn't watch Breaking Bad, so I have one person to talk about today. So
Yeah.
I will use my chance. So did you like El Camino?
Yes. I loved it.
Oh, I
I
didn't
only
like it.
saw it 4 times. You didn't like it?
No, when Walter appears, I like, but I
Oh,
don't know.
yeah.
I think the end of Breaking Bad it's perfect. You know,
Yeah.
I didn't want to see what happened with
With Jesse.
with Jesse. Yeah,
Yeah. It feels like, it doesn't feel like a movie. It feels just like another episode, like a
yeah,
long episode. But I liked it because it was in the Breaking Bad universe and it shows you more. And it was cool. I like seeing Badger and Skinny Pete. I like that
yeah, yeah,
Jesse made it out of there. I really liked it, and I hope that Saul, Better Call Saul, I hope that it takes us to modern time. Like I hope I hope it takes us to present time where
yeah,
he is. I forgot his name's Gene in present time, and he works at in the
yeah,
mall. I
yeah.
hope they show more of that. I hope they show that, and I hope that black and white slowly becomes color. I would love to see that
Yeah, that's
and
nice.
have him like. I hope the last episode is he gets a knock on his door and it's the girl. I forgot her name now. The other lawyer, the blonde lawyer, his
Oh,
girlfriend.
it's Chris.
I forget her name now.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I gotta watch it again to get the names, but I hope it's her. Yeah, Christy, Lori. I forget her name,
I think
but
it's
I hope
Chrissy, right? It's not.
I'm not sure, but I hope she's I hope they get together at the final episode, and that would be a good closure,
Nice,
you know. Or she
nice.
buys him, she meets him at the Cinnabon or something,
Yeah, that's
or
nice.
she's in hiding too. That would be funny.
Yeah.
She
Well,
disappears.
I have to watch it. I have to watch more. I have to watch Better Call Saul, and I have to watch El Camino again to see
Yeah,
if I like it. But okay,
yeah,
back into the comics, and the last
yeah.
question.
Mm-hmm.
It's our the definitive question. What's your favorite Teen Titan?
Oh, Robin. I
Robin,
love Robin.
right?
Yeah, Robin.
Dick Grayson.
Yeah, Dick
Yeah,
Grayson. I
yeah,
always go back to him. He's probably one of my favorite superheroes
yeah.
out of all the DC comics. And
No,
I always say Superman, Batman, and next guy's probably Robin.
yeah.
But Teen Titans, yeah,
Dick
Robin.
Dick is my
Mm-hmm.
favorite one too, but when he's the Nightwing. I
Oh,
love
you like him
him.
as
Yeah,
Nightwing? Yeah.
my favorite no my first comic book history that I read, it was when Dick it, he stopped being Robin and
Yeah.
start to act as
Yeah.
Nightwing. So that's very nice. Mr. Baltazar,
Mhm.
I think that's it. I have to finish
Yeah.
it, unfortunately, but I'm very glad you accept the invitation. If the
Yeah.
people don't know you, where they can find you, your social medias.
I have everything on artbaltazar.com. My name,
Great.
artbaltazar.com. I have links up there. I have all my characters, my comic
Yes.
books. I have my store up there.
You have a
So that's
YouTube
the
channel,
best
right?
place. What's that? Yeah, YouTube channel. I do
Yeah.
have one. It's called Oh Yeah Comics.
Yeah.
We have an Oh Yeah Comics YouTube channel, which
I
I
watch it
share with the
sometimes.
store. I have comic book shops too. I have 3 stores, one
Oh,
in
that's nice.
Chicago, and then New York, and one in Indiana. So I have 3 stores. So I'm all over the place. I write and draw, I publish, I work for companies, and I have my own comic book shop. So someone told me I have 7 companies once, and I'm like, what? So I do. I have seven companies, but I don't
Nice.
know what they are right now. But somebody
Oh my
somebody
God.
told me that. Yeah. And my wife told me that because at tax time she said, we have 7 companies. Like, what? So it's and they're all comic books related. But I
Okay.
just love it, man. This is my life, and I love doing it. I just love it.
Thank you so much. Oh,
You're welcome.
it wasn't in classes here. I love to talk about comics with the artists that I like. And I
Yeah.
have to say, I loved your hat.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, thank
That's
you.
Action Cat. Yeah.
Yeah, where can I buy it? This
There's
hat?
some Action Cat stuff on my website. I'm
Nice,
out of
nice.
these patches, but I have uh Adventure Bug patches still.
Oh,
Yeah, he's up
nice.
there. But you could
Okay.
go to it's linked on my artbaltazar.com. It links to electricmilkcomics.com. So I have a bunch of stuff up there.
Yeah,
Yeah, man, you can find me.
that's great. Thank you so much, man.
Thanks, Ikayo.
And see you. Okay, bye, guys.